Hello and welcome to Road Trip Guys.
You know what? I would like to visit a castle. And I mean a real castle.
Well, since we're in the UK and we have a little French hire car, very little hire car, so I think we can make that work.
Yes, just keep left.
Right, keep left.
Right.
You mean left, right?
Just start the video.
Okay. Located in the town of Kenilworth, in the county of Warwickshire, England, you will find the ancient castle of Kenilworth. The first castle at Kenilworth was built in the 1120s, and, as you can imagine, in its long history it's been home to some interesting events. In 1266, Kenilworth Castle withstood the longest medieval siege on English soil. Man, this siege is getting old.
I agree. What I wouldn't do for some taco.
It's almost taco.
Why does that bell keep ringing?
By the 1500s, the castle was owned by Robert Dudley.
Also known as the Earl of Leicester.
That's pronounced Leicester.
I know, I was testing you.
Robert Dudley had known Elizabeth I since they were children. He was one of her leading statesmen, and apparently he and the Queen were very fond of each other. Dudley decided he wanted to marry the Queen, but unfortunately he was already married. When in 1560, his wife mysteriously fell down a flight of stairs and died, so he's free to marry the Queen, right?
Well, not really. There was the matter of the scandal.
And rumors that he'd arranged for his wife's death continued for the rest of his life.
But you gotta give it up for our friend Dudley.
He kept trying. Starting in about the Middle Ages, the king or queen of a country would travel the realm and visit various cities and towns, staying with local dukes, earls, etc. These tours, called the Royal Progress, could be very elaborate affairs.
With over 300 members of the court in tow.
A visit by the monarch could bankrupt the lucky
or unlucky
hosts. In 1572, Elizabeth was to visit Kenilworth Castle. In preparation, Dudley built for the Queen a whole building containing private royal apartments, a building now called Leicester's Tower.
No marriage resulted, though.
In 1575, the Queen was to visit again, and Dudley decided to give it one last shot. He enhanced Leicester's Tower, built a beautiful garden, and one evening planned to stage a spicy play, hoping to convince the Queen to marry him. Unfortunately, the play was canceled, ostensibly for weather.
Not to be thwarted, the Queen was intercepted by deep desire.
In the form of an actor dressed as a prickly holly bush.
Live here, good Queen, live here. You are amongst your friends. Their comfort comes when you approach, and when you part, it ends.
Oh, Robert, your prickly holly bush fills me with such deep desire.
All was to no avail, and the Queen famously never married and never visited Kenilworth Castle again. From here on out, it's downhill for Kenilworth Castle. In 1649, during the English Civil War, a war between those supporting Parliament and those supporting the King, Kenilworth Castle was partly destroyed, or slighted, by parliamentary forces hoping to keep it from being used as a royal stronghold. Ruined, only 2 of its buildings remain habitable today. When you visit Kenilworth Castle, you won't be the first. The castle has been a tourist destination since the 18th century. Of course, the highlight of any visit to Kenilworth Castle is this magnificent ruin itself. The walls, the Great Tower, the Great Hall, and Leicester's Building all contribute to the amazing feeling that you're stepping into history at Kenilworth. The stable, erected in 1553, houses an introductory exhibit to the castle and a lovely little tea room.
Oh, please do be kind enough to pass me a scone.
Seriously, one trip to England, he's the world's biggest tea aficionado now.
I didn't even know I liked tea until I had a proper English cup of tea.
One of the only inhabitable parts of the castle is Leicester's Gatehouse. Lived in until the 1930s, it now houses some of the original interiors from the castle and some very interesting historical displays. The Elizabethan Garden is a recreation of the beautiful garden created by the Earl of Leicester for Queen Elizabeth over 400 years ago. The first ever recreation of an Elizabethan garden on such a grand scale. If you're going to see a lot of English heritage sites on your visit to the UK, you can get what's called an Overseas Visitor Pass from English Heritage. It could save you a few pounds.
Are you saying I'm fat?
Pounds sterling, the money in the UK.
Oh.
I have no comment on whether you need to lose weight. That was a pretty good story, wasn't it?
It was.
You know, I'd lived in England for several years, and I told Michael about the bad food and the crappy weather.
And I don't know what you were talking about. We didn't have a bad meal, and except for one day of rain, the weather was sunny and in the 80s.
True, English food has come a long way. But the day we left, it started raining. So I'm sticking by the crappy weather.
Thanks for watching.
And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. Newton, go find subscribers. Good boy.